Monday, November 9th, the moon will be moving out of Leo and into Virgo. So this is going to take place in the early hours of the day. Once we get up and once we get our day started, we are going to be under that Virgo energy. That Virgo energy wants us to take care of business. It wants us to reorganize and put things in its place. It wants to cut out the chatter. It wants to look at the actual facts and restructure and reorganize our inner worlds, our outer worlds, according to the facts, not hearsay, not what we want it to be, not what we think it should be, but the actual facts. We have an interesting dynamic happening here too, because Venus, who is in Libra right now, in its place of power, is sitting across the table from opposing Mars, the god of war, in his place of power in a retrograde. Mars is getting a little bit excited because Mars is about to go direct here at the end of the week, which we'll talk about here in a second. But Mars and Venus are the feminine, masculine energies that do this wonderful dance and chase around the cosmos to really help us redefine not only the feminine and masculine energies within us, but to define, in this case, what is good for us versus what is good for me. What is good for me as the individual? What do I want? What do I desire? What do I want to go after? Versus what do we want? What do we need? What do we need to go after? So it's very much the identity between the individual and the team, the group, the partnership. Now, this is definitely going to show us where our wants are and where our desires are. Wants, desires, right? Not necessarily good for me if it doesn't benefit us. So we are going to see the ebb and flow, the inner conflict, and the exterior reality situations in our personal relationships really test and trigger us to figure out the right balance. Passions will be at an all-time high because, again, Venus and Mars, this is what they do. This is their quest. They have been divinely positioned in the cosmos to do this beautiful dance with one another for eternity to help us figure out what is important to us as the individual and to us as the partnership. So passions might run high. We have to remember we are still under the Scorpio sun, which means that we are damn well and determined that we're going to get to the bottom of the truth. We are going to wade through the darker emotions in order to find the pain, to find the trauma, to find the trigger, in order to alchemize that into a source of light. But we have to understand that the energy from Scorpio is still probing. It's still jealous. It's still obsessive. It's still power hungry. It's still controlling. And so while Venus and Mars do this little bit of a dance, we want to watch out for jealousy. We want to watch out for obsessive thinking. We also want to watch out for impulsive decisions where our hearts matter and where our money matters. This is a time where drama can definitely be stirred up because we're looking for excitement. And excitement can actually be a bad thing when we don't understand what's going on in the world. And many of us, and let me just say this as humbly as I possibly can, every single time there is a global event where I'm really hoping that the light stands up and shows how much progress that we are actually making, I get disappointed. The ignorance, the misunderstanding, the lack of education, the lack of comprehension from the greater global collective right now is absolutely disheartening to those of us that have been awake for years, waiting for this moment to transcend into a higher level of consciousness. And I don't say that looking down on people. I do realize that we are still in the great awakening. We still have a huge, huge storyline to actually live through here that will act as the catalyst to wake more people up. But the drama comes because a lot of us are still very rooted in the 3D storyline. We're looking for excitement, even if it hurts us. And especially with this particular energy, there are mixed signals going on in our relationships and partnerships. There's a certain crisis energy coming because Mercury that rules over the mental plane and information and how it is that we actually interact with one another is moving out of the partnership area, the fairness area, the justice area of Libra, and is about to move into Scorpio, which we're going to talk about here in a second. But all of these energies lead to a crisis point where there's going to be a lot of excitement, a lot of passion, a lot of obsessiveness, a lot of drama, period. And as the day kind of progresses, hopefully we'll step out of that more aggressive energy and we'll let the sun trining Neptune get our peace back, get the beauty back, get us in touch with our intuitions again, because many of us light workers and many of us in 5D have really been weighted down by the energy of the collective, very stuck in this 3D line of division. So us light workers, we have to ground. Many of us are retreating at this time because the energy of the collective is so consuming. The sun trining Neptune later on in the day is going to help us get in touch with our soul self again, our intuition again, help us get back into those spiritual practices that lead us to the inner voice of making sense of all this craziness, and instead of sticking into the ego identity, which is very, very conflicted and devised at this time.